The night the little girl knocked on his door, the rain was falling so hard it felt like the sky was breaking apart, and for one terrifying second, Jacob Reed thought the sound was something worse than thunder. He was a poor single father who had learned to live with fear quietly, the kind that sits in your chest when bills pile up and hope feels too expensive. That knock would change everything, even though he had no way of knowing that by morning, a millionaire would be standing on his doorstep, searching for the child he chose to protect when the world failed her. Before the story goes any further, take a moment. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of doing the right thing when no one is watching, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that humanity still matters. Jacob lived in a narrow, aging apartment at the edge of town, the kind of place people passed without noticing. The paint on the walls had long ago lost its brightness, and the heater only worked when it wanted to, but it was home. He had moved there after his wife passed away 3 years earlier, when life suddenly demanded strength he did not know he had. Every day, he worked construction jobs when he could find them, sometimes 12 hours under the sun, sometimes nothing at all. Every night, he came home to his 6-year-old son, Noah, who waited with a smile that made the exhaustion worth it. That evening had already been hard. Jacob's paycheck was short again, and the landlord had left another warning notice. He sat at the small kitchen table, staring at the numbers, wondering how a man could work so hard and still feel like he was drowning. Noah had fallen asleep on the couch with a schoolbook on his chest, trusting his father to hold the world together. Jacob covered him with a thin blanket, whispering promises he prayed he could keep. Then came the knock. It was hesitant, almost apologetic, as if whoever stood on the other side was afraid to exist. Jacob hesitated, every instinct warning him that life did not give gifts without a price. But when he opened the door, he froze. Standing there was a little girl, maybe 8 years old, soaked from head to toe, her hair clinging to her face, her eyes wide with fear and exhaustion. She wore shoes that were too big and a jacket torn at the sleeve, and she held a small backpack as if it were the only thing anchoring her to the world. Jacob's heart dropped into his stomach. He had seen hardship, but something about her stillness hurt more than words. She did not cry. She did not speak. She just stood there, shivering, as if she had already accepted that no one might help her. He brought her inside without thinking, wrapping her in a towel, setting her near the heater, giving her water and a piece of bread he had planned to save for tomorrow. Noah woke up and watched quietly, his eyes filled with concern instead of fear. Jacob realized then that his son was learning what kindness looked like, not from lectures but from moments like this. The girl finally relaxed enough to fall asleep at the table, her head resting on her folded arms. Jacob sat nearby all night, afraid that if he looked away, she might disappear. He did not know her story, but he knew enough about loss to recognize it in her eyes. He debated calling the authorities, worried about doing the wrong thing, worried about what might happen to her if he did nothing at all. In the end, he chose to let her rest until morning, believing that sometimes protection begins with something as simple as warmth and patience. As dawn broke, pale light slipping through the cracked blinds, Jacob felt both relief and dread. Relief that the girl was safe, dread of the unknown waiting outside his door. He was pouring water into a chipped kettle when a loud knock echoed through the apartment, sharp and urgent this time. His chest tightened. This knock carried authority. When he opened the door, the hallway filled with the presence of a man who did not belong there. He wore a tailored coat, shoes polished to a mirror shine, and behind him stood 2 security guards who scanned the surroundings with quiet intensity. The man's eyes were red, his face strained, not with anger, but with fear barely held together. Jacob understood immediately that this was no ordinary visitor. The man explained that his daughter had gone missing the night before, that search teams had been tearing the city apart, that every minute without her felt like a lifetime. He was a self-made millionaire, known for his success, but in that moment, he was just a father unraveling. When Jacob stepped aside and the little girl emerged from the kitchen, clutching Noah's old blanket, the man collapsed to his knees in relief, emotion breaking through every layer of power and wealth. What followed was not a dramatic celebration, but something quieter and more powerful. The man held his daughter as if he would never let go again. He listened as Jacob explained how she had arrived, how he had simply done what felt right. There was no bargaining, no expectation of reward, only honesty. The millionaire insisted on helping. Jacob refused at first, uncomfortable with the idea of being paid for kindness. But the man did not see it as payment. He saw it as gratitude, and more importantly, as responsibility. He had wealth beyond imagination, yet he had almost lost the most important thing in his life. Jacob, who had almost nothing, had protected it without hesitation. In the weeks that followed, Jacob's life began to change in ways he never anticipated. The millionaire helped him find stable work, not as charity but as opportunity. He made sure Noah's school needs were covered, and that the apartment's heat would never fail again. But the greatest gift was not money. It was dignity. Jacob was treated not as a poor man who needed saving, but as a good man who deserved respect. Jacob and Noah were invited to a small gathering at the millionaire's home months later, a place that felt like another world. The little girl ran toward them with joy, healthy and smiling, no longer carrying the weight of fear. Watching his son laugh with her, Jacob felt something loosen inside him, a knot he had carried since his wife's death. He realized that kindness had not only saved a child that night, but had slowly begun to save him too. Life did not become perfect. Jacob still worked hard, still faced challenges, still carried grief. But now there was hope woven into his days, a reminder that doing the right thing mattered, even when no one was watching, even when you felt invisible. He taught Noah that true wealth was not measured by what you owned, but by what you were willing to give when it cost you something. As the years passed, Jacob often thought about that stormy night. He remembered the knock, the fear, the choice. He understood that the moment he opened his door, he had stepped into a larger story than his own, one that connected lives across invisible lines of compassion. If this story has touched your heart, if it reminded you that small acts of kindness can create ripples far beyond what we see, please take a moment to like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps keep stories like this alive. And before this story ends, we have one special request. Please comment the word kindness below if you believe that compassion can change lives, even in the darkest moments. Jacob Reed never became rich in the way the world measures success. But he became something far greater. He became proof that even a poor single father, struggling to survive, can become a hero simply by opening his door when someone in need knocks. And sometimes, when you choose humanity over fear, the universe answers in ways you could never imagine.